Hi there, I'm Natasha. This is my channel, Always Be Crafting, and today I want to walk you through how to make your own reusable Easter eggs. So here's an example of one that I have made. And you can see you can put lots of goodies inside the pocket. And I want to show you how I came up with my pattern, and you can make one at home yourself. All right, so how I did it is I took 2 circles to get started. Now in my case, I used some circle rulers because I had circle rulers. So in my case, I used a 3.5 and a 2.5. If you don't have circle rulers at home, maybe you have a spool of ribbon or a couple of different sized bottles of, well, in my case, 505 and Fabric Fusion, or bottle of glue. I mean, lots of different things, a can of soda pop, whatever you have that is a circle that you can trace. You just want one that's a little bit bigger and one that's a little bit smaller. Okay, so I will go ahead and turn the camera pointing down, and then you can see how I made it happen. Okay, so I have a piece of paper here, and I have, remember, those circle rulers I told you about, but I'm guessing most people don't have circle rulers at home. So I'm going to go ahead and use something I assume people have at home, and that is a spool of ribbon. So I know this one is a pretty big spool, so that's okay because we can always, go down from there. All right, so I'll start with my big circle on the bottom first, like that. Now my smaller circle, let's see, I'm putting the halfway mark that I think is about halfway of the smaller circle on the top line of the bigger circle. A long time ago, and I just go around the top of the can like that, and then I take it off and I look. If I am satisfied with where that is, I think it's actually pretty cute. Then I go from about the midway point on my bigger circle, and I just draw up to my top circle. I just connect the two together. If you want your egg to be perfectly symmetrical, then you can just cut this in half and pick one side when you're done. But that looks pretty egg-shaped to me, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. Here is my egg. Don't worry about it being perfectly smooth right now. Everything gets smoother as we sew. So here's our egg. Now look, you're looking at this and you're thinking, oh, I just see that circle, but turn it over. Doesn't it look more like an egg already? Right? So good. This one is one I made from my original pattern. And you can see this I had to make bigger using my 3.5 and 2.5. And then adding seam allowance got me here. And look, it's almost exactly the same size. See, if I had just started with the ribbon and the 505, I would have been perfect to begin with. Ta-da! All right, but we're not there yet. So I need a top and a bottom. Go from this side because I want everything kind of going in the same, all my pencil lines on the, because it's not symmetrical, I want everything with the right side facing up to be exactly the same. So this is my, I'm going to mark that size up. So that looks good there. Going to go ahead and trace that. It looks like it's more than halfway. And then I need it for the bottom as well. Go ahead and turn my cardstock. And again, more than halfway. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be more than halfway. Trying to make it kind of even. Trace that out. make a mark on them so I know that is overlap, like that. See how the 3 pieces are overlapping? And now you have created a pattern, or I have created a pattern technically, but if you've done it at home, hopefully you have also created a pattern. But what do we do with the pattern? Can you see my box of fabric scraps? Ta-da! Fabric scraps. So here are a couple pieces in progress, if you will. For the back, it just needs to be quilted on one side. The other side's going to get covered in the process of making it. But for the top and the bottom, you're going to want that to be double-sided quilted. So here's a piece where I took a large piece of fabric and quilted on a large piece of quilted matting, and now I have traced out, see here? I've traced out a couple of tops and bottoms already here. Or likewise, if you're using scraps and you don't have a large piece like that, you can cut out tops and bottoms out of quilted or out of quilting batting by themselves and then match them up to scraps of fabric like this. So I can just take my quilt cotton, put my quilt batting inside out of my, right here in my scrap, and then just fold it over the straight edge, right? The straight edge is what we need. Take that to my sewing machine and just put a whole bunch of quilting lines in it. Shall we do some? Machine now. And I wanted to show you a couple of my, when I was testing out the pattern. Here's one I tested where I wanted the opening to be sideways. I wanted to see how it worked, you know, kind of like a tissue packet. And while it's super cute, it just doesn't want to stay closed. So I just think everything would fall out. The candy wouldn't stay in. And here were a couple I made that these were cut using the same pattern. This one had a 1/4 inch seam allowance. This one had the 1/8 inch seam allowance. So you can see the difference in size. 1/4 inch seam allowance just made it too, you can see it's just too bulky in there. So the 1/8 inch seam allowance is really going to be our friend. And, but I just thought the pattern was just a little too small. And also on these I had binding, and the binding just made it just much thicker and unnecessarily so. So those were some of the kinks I worked out. And here's one of the ones that I thought, you know, worked out well, if you will. So here's like what we're going to be making. And so, for example, we're going to start with something in progress already. This one I already sewed up. It's got quilting cotton, see? And you can see I'm using scraps of cotton batting because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And we are going to go ahead and quilt now. We've sandwiched this piece of quilt cotton that's already cut to the size of a top. And we're going to go ahead and quilt that on to the Hello Kitty fabric. And then we're going to find some cute fabric for a bottom and then sew it together. So let me point you down at my sewing machine. Okay, so now what we need to do is we take the back piece and we decide how we want the top and the bottom to look, okay? So I've decided I want them to look like this with the Hello Kitty being in the front and this kitty face right here in the middle, like this. So this is how I want it to look at the end, Okay, this is how I want the egg to look. So now that means I need to put them face to face. So outside, outside, face to face. Okay, I line them up face to face. If you want to use pins at this point to get them lined up just right so they look symmetrical, they look, you know, they look right, make it happy. Make it a happy egg. And then on top of that, okay, the other piece of fabric. So now the top and the bottom are in a sandwich between a loosey-goosey piece of fabric that's going to be on the inside and the back, okay? Put them all together. All pretty sides are inside the sandwich. All the pretty sides are inside the sandwich, right? How are you going to turn this out if the opening's stuck in the middle? From the bottom of the egg, I'm going to have to show you this. I'm going to have to lower you. From the bottom of the egg, right here, you're just going to fold under like that. See? Fold under like that. See? Like that. That's going to be our turning hole. Okay. So base it together. Feel free to use pins if you want to use pins. You don't have to. I'm not going to, but you can. I put my stitch length down to a 2. My quilting stitch length was a 3.5, whatever you're comfortable with. Back under the sewing machine, start stitching. Okay. I like to go around 2 times. I just always feel like it's safer. Now, I've noticed that my bottom wasn't lined up because look, it's loose. I should have pinned it, or I should have checked it better because look, it did not line up and it was not in place. Okay, so I can unpick just the bottom of this egg and I can pull my bottom down. If this happens to you, I don't worry about using a seam ripper. I think some people get so in their own head about using a seam ripper like it's the worst thing that ever happened. I love my seam ripper. I think it's fantastic. I have so many seam rippers. I love them. To me, a seam ripper is just an eraser for fabric. It's just an eraser. There's no shame in needing one. It stinks that I use such a small stitch because this is going to take a while, but I am not ashamed of it. I'm just going to rippity-doo-dah, back my seams just far enough so I can reset my bottom. I'll speed up this footage so you don't have to watch me pull out the tiniest little seams ever known to man. I'm trimming everything that is outside the line of the original backing egg, that original tie-dye pink egg. Everything that is outside that line, because that was what the line I used to shape the egg in the beginning. Okay, so that's our turning hole. So we can just poke our fingers up, turn, push through the egg from there, like that. Da-da-da-da-da. Now I do have a little point turner that I can stick in, and doing it this way, you will have you'll have a raw edge on the inside. You're welcome to pull this out if you want and sew it down. But honestly, I don't think anyone's ever gonna look at the bottom of your egg, because once you turn out your pockets, because remember that blue was the inside of our egg, right? And now we're gonna turn out our pockets so that little turning hole is inside the egg. So we're never gonna see it. It shall never be seen again, right? And you can, again, I can take my turning tool, excuse me, and round out all my edges, make it look pretty, make it look as cute as a button. It's very pink. Trim any loose threads that, because I didn't do a very good job of cleaning up all the ones from my seam ripping, so I'm probably gonna have a lot of loose little threads here, so from my seam rip doodles. But look at that cute little egg, and it is ready for some treats. And I have some Easter candy here, so I like to put them in the box. You put them right there. Here's like a Reese's if you're not allergic to peanuts. Now, the easiest way to stuff them, honestly, is just to turn out the top so you have full access to the bottom. This is the easiest way to stuff them, because then you can really fill up the bottom with however many candies you want. A little Kiss, a little Mr. Good bar. What do I have here? I grabbed one of those goodie bags at the CVS. Oh my gosh, there's so many goodies. Kit Kat. This thing's full. Let's see, I've got 5 candies in there so far. 5 pieces of candy in there. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Did I miss anything? Oh, a little Hershey's. Oh, I put 2 Kit Kats in. I'll take out 1 Kit Kat and put in a Hershey's. All right, and then after you're satisfied with the candy, then turn the top back over. That's what I like to do, but however you like to fill your eggs is completely up to you. And I think they're big enough if you want to put chapstick in there, or if you don't want to put candy, but you want to put like little toys or something. They are the perfect size, and you can use them year after year after year after year. They're not just one and done. And think of all the different colors you could use. Think you could even embellish them. You could put ribbons on them, rick-rack, put some ribbon, like doily, like lacy things coming out around the edges. I mean, have fun, go wild. Now you know how I did it. Now you know how I came up with my egg-shaped pattern, so you can do it too. You saw how I turned it inside out, and I hope you have fun making your own eggs reusable year after year for you and your family and friends. Thanks for watching.